Hello everyone, and welcome back to Dungeons & Dragons: The Second Age. How are we all doing?
Alright.
Yeah, good.
Oh, with that rousing chorus of excited voices, let's...
Hey
sorry,
man,
let me
I'm
try
brain
that
dead right now, so...
Let me try that again.
Like, I think we're
Oh
all
wow, I'm
almost
so
dead.
excited! Let's play D&D!
Alright, no need to be
that
patronising.
Wow.
So, without further ado, who wants to go ahead and give us an outline of exactly what happened the last time we played this game?
I think the first thing that happened is that we encountered. Well, we started moving again, and we encountered this massive ocean-like water mass.
Oh, yeah.
The only way I could describe it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was salt water, it was flowing ridiculously fast, and we were
Well,
like... what?
Before that, you solved the little problem beforehand.
Oh wait, which little problem?
You discovered that some of your companions had been infiltrated by the influence of the Elder Brain.
Yeah, Luka
Yes.
and... Luka, Arya, and
Kaziara.
while they were unconscious, had somehow been linked to the hive mind of the Illithids, and were feeding back information. So we came up with a quick solution, which was to just mind blank both of them.
Yeah. Which was
It worked.
very effective.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it fucking
did work.
worked. Nailed it. It was,
Unfortunately,
it's a 7th level spell, but it worked.
Well, like it
Actually, I think
also
it's higher than that. I think it's an 8th level spell.
it protected them against all psychic damage, which, considering who we were up
Yeah.
against, was
Yeah, it was pretty
pretty
good.
valuable.
Yeah, it worked out. Then we encountered the big saltwater mega river kind of ocean thing of doom. We were like, how the hell do we get across this? And all of our solutions were thwarted by the fact that we now have a large wolf with us.
Yeah, it turns out trying to navigate tiny, narrow corridors and/or
Ledges.
ladders with a wolf is bad.
Yeah. So, yeah, we had a bit of awkwardness getting Blair around, but eventually we were spotted by not only 3 different Illithids, but also a group of Sahagin and their pet sharks.
Which were being controlled by the
The Sahagin.
Illithids, and the Sarks are being controlled by the Sahagin.
Sharks were controlled by the Sahagin, and the Sahagin were controlled by the Illithids.
So,
Mind
good old
control
mind
on top of
control
mind
chain.
control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, classic.
That is how it be sometimes.
So yeah, despite difficulties progressing up against the flow of the river, ocean, we still made it across. A single Illithid fled into a deeper chamber, but Kaziara warned us that they would not go to such lengths to defend anywhere. This must be their lair. And so in we went, and sure enough, there was the Illithid we bloodied up, and an absolutely massive one that was which you can now see dead on the floor, and also a giant brain, which you can also see dead in the pool of water. They tried to be like, "No, let us free. It's fine, and we'll help you find your friend." Ooh. And we were
like, nope.
"Yeah, no, that's not happening, mate."
Well, if you're
so we
dead,
had a
you're of
fight.
no concern.
So we had a fight, and things got very, very scrappy. Kelariis, much like in the ocean fight, was CC'd a lot. Grim very nearly went down, but through a combination of his sheer stubbornness and the last remaining bead of force, managed to survive. And
Yep.
unfortunately, we have lost Arya not to death, but to the fact that she now currently has 0 intelligence.
Not much of a difference compared to usual. No.
Wow!
Wow.
Excuse me!
That's not
Goodness!
even like accidentally insulting people. You did that on purpose.
That was on purpose.
Wow.
To be fair, that also
Wow.
wasn't grim. That was just a mini.
Yeah, that
it's fucking with me.
it
So,
was
yeah,
meant as a joke.
So yeah,
Better
we,
be.
after our victory over the Illithids, and with Kaziara's duty complete and friends avenged, we now engage in our search with Puck, and we left off being confused by an organ, trying to think of a way to lure Puck to us with it, and eventually just smashing the keys because we don't know any songs and none of us can play the organ.
Yeah.
So there's a brain dead Arya in the corner. Well, actually, she's on.
Well, yeah,
on
she's
Lyra's
she's
back
technically
now.
being carried by Lyra at the moment.
Yeah, Lyra's carrying her, and Elizabeth is smashing her fist on an organ keyboard.
Yeah.
Hoping that we can lure a fairy towards us.
He's not a fairy.
Wow.
He's an archfey.
Okay,
Yeah.
Archfey, close enough.
A grand fairy.
A
Very,
big
very
fairy.
big difference.
A
Yeah.
slightly fancier fairy.
Wow. It's closer to a gnome than a fairy, really. But it's fine.
A slightly larger gnome.
Anyway.
Fancy gnome. Yeah, anyway, we're trying to find Puck. Because we've dealt with the Illithids.
Okay. Yeah. So as well, the four of you, technically five of you, with Cobweb back in the mix, just sort of gathered around this organ. Elizabeth, you play a couple of like discordant notes. Cobweb sort of like winces and just sort of is like, I don't think that's terribly helpful.
No, probably not. Maybe we should just look for him.
Well, I think just looking is not going to help because of the nature of this
Place.
Say,
Hey, that's a thought. Would it be safer to... Then again, even if we could use telekinesis... Not telekinesis. Telepathy. Well, I can't do it directly to him.
yeah, I would, but yeah. Well, I think I don't even have to tell you why that's an issue for me. Although, now that you mention it, Arya, you have the Ring of Spellcast, don't you? Or
She can't answer you, Grim.
oh,
But I'm pretty sure she still has that ring.
I think she'll happily lend me that ring.
You'd have to get rid of the thing that's already in there, remember?
Well, then we have a spare. I think. Well, honestly, I don't think we're ever going to use it, and you can probably instill it with more powerful magic anyway.
Or even the same magic if you really wanted. That same spell was in Illyria's spellbook, which I have.
Well, I guess. I'll just use. Wait, doesn't message fit?
It
Does it,
does
like-
if we get rid of Vitriolic Sphere.
Well, I guess I'll wear the
Sending-
ring and then just
Yeah.
Vitrolic Sphere the water because screw the dead larva.
You slip on the Ring of Spell Storage, focus through it, and a large ball of acid basically like bursts forth from the air in front of you. It's quite a rush, Grim, for somebody who doesn't use magic very often.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it splashes. You watch as it like sort of eats away at the edges of the pool a little, and then neutralizes.
Not quite what I expected, but it was still quite something. But well, I should. If I just hand you the ring, it should work. Well, you do
Yeah.
your thing.
How does the ring work again?
Ring of Spell Storing. It should be in your list of artifacts.
It's not.
It's not. Oh,
Oh no,
okay.
it isn't.
My ring of mind shielding's in there though.
Oh, it might not. Oh no, it is here. I don't know why you haven't got an entry for it. I'll make one now.
Is it not shared properly?
No, it's not. It's not there at all. Show to everyone. There you go.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, see, there is a 5th level spell limit. Okay, not 6th level.
That's why we had to get rid of Vitriolic Sphere, because Vitriolic Sphere is a 4th level.
Yes.
Or third
So you only had one slot left.
Yeah. But now that we have got rid of that, I can store... Yeah, I should be able to store sending into it. So yeah, I have to cast sending while touching it.
Okay.
Oh wait, I've encountered a problem.
Yeah.
So you know how we got told not to use telepathy?
You weren't equipped it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
I unprepared sending because I didn't foresee us having to need it so quickly.
you don't have any more powerful spell that has a similar effect.
No. And even then, I would have had that unprepared as well because no telepathy.
Well, regardless of the what's and how, it's you don't have it, so we will have to figure out something else. I think, yeah, time-wise, we are not even close to needing another rest, are we? Well, at least another long rest. A short rest might not be the worst idea.
Hang on.
You have a feat that, well, not a feat, a class ability that lets you change someone at a short rest, don't you, Cav?
I think so.
Or is that just spell slots? I can never remember.
I can recover spell slots, but I don't know if I can.
I think it's just spell slots, but I often tend to remember the rules harsher than they are.
Yeah, it just says you can change your list of prepared spells when you finish a long rest. I don't know if I can
Yeah, no, okay.
do it on a short.
I think it's just get spells back with the thing, but oh well.
Because it's.
Oh, yeah, I think. If it's
Yeah, it's gonna be a while before you need to like properly long rest, but you could feasibly go and find somewhere safer to long rest because where you are right now is not exactly the safest.
Yeah.
Well, but I feel like considering, like, we're not going to need another. Well, I guess we're not going to need another long rest in quite some time. I guess we might as well spend our time looking for looking for Puck.
Okay.
Also, how much do we like? I've just had that thought. Like, so we were worried about locate creature because it just ping cobweb,
Mhm.
but like, wouldn't Archfey be different enough from cobweb?
Archfey is just Fey.
You can't search for anything like more specific that might lead us to Puck.
With locate creature, I don't believe so.
See,
Great question. I don't.
Yeah. So the problem.
Yeah, it'd have to be familiar to clear.
Oh,
to
actually,
casting it.
I'll
Well, I guess
describe.
they've met.
Well, like I can describe them to you.
And
Say
if it's a
you've met?
matter of locating somebody who's like a well, it can't be somebody super specific, right?
but
Oh, it can
only
be.
if you've met that person. Only if you know
Okay.
that person.
But I guess the previous issue or I guess we didn't consider like technically we've all met an Archfey at this point. So if Puck is, I guess that's weird though because like we don't necessarily know that there's a. Well, I guess maybe we do know there's a difference between Archfey and regular and
Yeah,
legitimate.
it does just say it can
That's
locate a specific
classification.
creature known to you.
Yeah, but like the creature's only known to Grim.
Yeah.
But I could describe him. It's like Grim, but less handsome now.
Wow.
Wow.
Probably more handsome,
I
to be
specifically
honest.
remember Vondar describing you slowly getting more handsome, so I don't know if that's how that works.
Yeah, that's the problem with Fondal's eyesight. He needs
Ah!
glasses.
I'm gonna tell him you said that.
I mean, I guess then if the difference between like just Fey and Archfey is enough to be like a different type of creature in terms of using this spell, that I'm more than happy to try.
Well, I guess we don't have much to lose, and if it like locates Cobweb, then it's not going to be a surprise. It's not like we're gonna go down a massive path. It's like it's going to be right next to us.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you casting it?
Yeah. Yeah, I'll do that.
Looking for an Archfey.
Okay. So you cast Locate Creature. Nothing pings within the spell's radius.
Fair enough.
That would have been too convenient.
But that is still good to know though,
Yeah,
because
'cause it
that
didn't
means
ping
that it
Cobweb.
differentiates between Cobweb and
Fuck.
so like Fey and Archfey.
Definitely
Essentially.
good. Yeah, definitely good to know. So, I know this is half a bad. Actually, no. Maybe this is a terrible idea. I was gonna say I'll just mark our path, and then if not Cobweb, if
Puck sees the
Yeah, Puck.
markings.
Sees our markings, he can follow them. However,
We don't know what else is in here.
well, I'm guessing there was, unless the others died like the little worm fish things did.
That's a good
Wait.
question. What happens when they're all linked to this central mind? What happens if the mind dies? That's sort of like aimed at Kaziara.
I think Kaziora mentioned this previously when you asked, but she explains. The adults Illithid basically are now just they're leaderless and disoriented, but given enough time they could potentially rebuild if there are any of them left. The spawn, the tadpoles, died because the salinity of the water changed with the death of the elder brain.
Fucking rip, I guess.
They needed very specific conditions, which is why the elder brain was required to be in one place.
That's a really unfortunate way to die. Just gonna throw that one out there.
Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate.
What, like that your caretaker suddenly gets murdered, or?
Oh
mean,
no, there's been a
both.
slight change in my environment.
But like having such a strong
Welcome to
reaction that
fish.
you just die, yeah, like that
Yeah.
you just die because the salinity in the water is different is really
Shit,
unfortunate.
slightly less salt.
No,
Yeah.
at least they didn't
Well-
suffer for long, I guess.
Also, consider that it wasn't a minor change. Like when this thing died, it released a bunch of fluid that basically like the water now is just like a greenish ooze rather than a clear salty blue water. It was a fairly drastic environmental change to kill them.
Yeah.
That's
I did not consider the ooze of the brain, but there is a
The
lot of
ooze
ooze
of
in
the brain.
brains.
Mhm.
Well,
Well, it's not really in the brain; it's around.
Yeah.
But then again, these aren't our brains.
Yes.
We should just.
It's like
focus on
if
the
you put a saltwater fish in a fish tank full of blood, it probably will drown.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
Wow,
is-
that's
yeah.
I was thinking you were going to say a freshwater fish in a saltwater tank, but blood also works.
Yes.
You know what,
I mean,
Luka?
But
I was
It would die.
anticipating-
It would die in a fish tank full of blood a lot faster than it would a fish tank full of the opposite kind of water.
honestly, I'm not sure.
Let's
But
not find
that's-
out.
Let's just
Wait,
never.
hold on.
Well,
Now
the
I'm
thing
curious.
The thing with blood is you can't get
Oh.
oxygen from it via gills.
Wait,
Yeah.
Have you tried?
Are you a fish?
Well, no, because the thing is, the blood is a living thing as well. It's cells, and it's not molecules that you can just separate the oxygen from, which is how gills work.
Well, it is. I guess that is
Moving
true to an
onwards.
extent. But yeah.
Yeah, we'll just move past that very morbid example from
Yeah.
Rob about
Let's just
killing
find Puck.
fish.
Yeah, well, I think, Cobweb, Puck the best out of all of us.
Mhm.
I think if we're gonna have any chance of finding him, I think we may not have completely secured this place, but I think the greatest threat has passed at this point. I know you're not completely well because I dragged you along in a box without that much care, but
She rubs her arms pointedly, whether she's still rather bruised.
But I think at this point you're going to be your best bet. You know him the best. Perhaps instead of us leaving a text message that will, be deformed or messed up by whatever this maze does, you could perhaps leave something that has more meaning in another way, or another, or at least tell us how to do so.
She thinks for a moment. The problem is, all of the ways that I know how to get in touch with him require him to be, well, doing his thing, looking out for people. I don't know how much of that he can actually do without his powers.
So you don't have... Well, you have magic, right?
Some, yes.
Can you send a message?
Let me remind myself of her spell list. That's not the right one. Hang on, I need to remember what creature type she is.
Don't worry. I'm asking the hard questions.
Oh, okay, she is that type. It just doesn't come up in the SRD for some reason. Okay, so out of game, she has access to the spells. Confusion, dancing lights, detect evil and good, detect thoughts, dispel magic, entangle, fly, phantasmal force, polymorph, and sleep.
So no.
So yeah, that's indeed a no.
She also has innate superior invisibility.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, but we don't really benefit from that, unfortunately. In most cases, I guess it helped a little, Dario.
Why are we once again in a situation where it looks like our best option is to just wander around until we bump into him?
It's because we are always ill prepared for anything we do. But we're not. We're just we're just enough prepared to survive.
We're barely prepared, but we're adaptable. Is that what you're saying?
Something along those lines. But I feel like that's being generous. But hey, as long as we survive, we can do whatever we came to do. That said, I guess we'll just you know what? I'm not the biggest fan of the solution. But you know what? One thing is that I think might point him in the right direction is if we, well, you know how the heads kind of exploded on the corpses that we dealt with. What if we all laid them in the same direction as a kind of a corpse arrow?
Kazuura raises an eyebrow at you that is clearly, excuse me, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was
Well-
just gonna sort of just rest her face in her hand. Go, I think that's an awful idea.
Well,
I mean,
would it
okay,
really?
it's a good idea if you ignore the fact that we're taking people's bodies and making an arrow out of them.
Well, they're bad people. Well, most of them were bad people, I think.
Still,
All I'm saying is we're in a dire situation, and dire situations require desperate measures. But,
also, if this place does change all the time, that arrow might not stay pointing in the right direction if it even stays as an arrow.
well, I didn't mean as an actual arrow. I meant more as in if we have them all fallen over in a certain direction, it might help. But if they're
Even-
spread out, unless they're perfectly aligned the other direction, this should be fine.
Yeah,
I'm
but what
not-
if it's not
and-
so much that this place, necessarily just mutates where things are facing, but might make the same exit lead to a different place.
Perhaps I think
Well-
we might be better just going and looking for your friend rather than.
This is about a minute's worth of effort, and I know it's gross, but it might help. And I think we should do it. Well, at least I'll do it. I know it's not. I know it's it might be considered disrespectful, but no, I'm just dragging the body. Well, like some of the bodies.
Has-
And,
Kaziora just like holds up her hands and just walks away and refuses to look at you.
okay.
I'm gonna go stand with Kaziara.
Like I'm not. It's not like I'm not going to drag them all the way to the other side. I'm just turning them to be that way, like the head toward or what used to be their heads in some cases, in that direction, facing with their body upward, like facing the.
I'm assuming you mean this direction.
Yes, because I'm guessing that's where we're going to be heading,
Yeah, probably.
and then like chest up, just so it makes more sense.
Okay.
I imagine this won't take long.
No.
I'm not.
You organize them rudimentarily to try and point in the same direction. I guess. Yeah. You finish your task. What are you doing?
Well, I know you didn't all agree with what I've done, but shall we at least continue, and hopefully Arya will improve in her condition. I imagine she isn't drooling too badly.
I mean, she. The way she is currently, like she's positioned on Lyra's back, she's like clutched onto like Lyra's clothing, but what clothing? Fur.
Clothing.
When did Lyra get a jumper?
But yeah, she's not like completely incapacitated, but she is in terms of game statistics. But it's more like those things where you can like snap your fingers in front of somebody's face and there's just no recognition.
Yeah.
She's just out of it.
Well, you take care of her, Lyra.
Her bodily functions are still very much intact. It's just that.
You know what, Lyra? If you're fine, that's good. But if you need help, just bark twice shortly. Like, barking once can always mean a bunch of things. But twice is on purpose, if it's exactly twice.
She just looks at you.
Well,
Let's just forge ahead and try and find Puck and get out of here.
that's what we're doing.
Okay. You continue onwards. Go ahead and, as a group, make me a survival roll.
Oh,
This
wait,
is
we don't
like,
have our.
Yeah, I'm
You
guessing we're
don't
both
have Arya,
vulnerable.
so
Yeah,
you do not
well,
get
like,
Arya stats.
Well, it's not too bad, I'm pretty sure. Well, I won't roll with advantage because the others don't have proficiency, I believe.
I don't.
Okay.
Nice.
I've got a +3, but no proficiency. That's not
Well,
bad.
not bad.
Okay, so you spend some time navigating, sort of picking corridors to examine and finding your way around. Unfortunately, it turns up nothing. You spend what must be the majority of the rest of the day searching. On the positive side, you see significantly less signs of Illithid traffic. You come across it occasionally, but it looks like it was old enough that it isn't subsequent to your fight. But eventually, you end up in a dead end, and you think it's probably about time to take a rest.
Well, if we get to that point, then I guess we will have a rest. Well, Elizabeth, you know what to do.
Yep.
And then I mean that in two senses, or two ways: the dome and the spell.
Yep. I'm on it.
Okay. You do your preparations. You cast Lemon's tiny huts. You get everything prepared. Kaziara volunteers to take first watch. She still seems to not be in a fantastic mood.
She can sulk all she likes
Wow.
in this first
Wow.
watch. But you know, like it's not like we can fix it, can we?
I mean, it was kind of your fault.
It is entirely your fault.
Wait, what did I do?
You disgraced the bodies of her companions.
Not her companions.
Yeah,
Like,
there were two dead companions amongst the
Yeah,
bodies.
there was two
Yeah.
dead Trickster, I remember.
Oh well, like I assumed like all her companions. I thought like the 4 or 5 people we burned earlier were.
Yeah, that was 3 of them.
three of 5.
Oh well,
That was the
okay.
other 2 that you.
I
you
didn't
know.
I didn't realize those were. I kind of forgot about those companions. Like I would have shown a little more respect for those bodies. In case that makes a difference. It's like, mindful, like these dead mind controlling beings. I'm like, well, screw them. And the actual friends of well, I want to say family, but that might be a little extreme. You wouldn't treat that way.
Friends of the companions, yeah.
Friends of the companion.
Friends of friends.
Okay. I will retroactively state that she is a little less annoyed at that.
Just mildly.
Just a
She
little bit.
she still is a bit like what the fuck about it, but if you were respectful to her companion's bodies, she's not that bothered.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys essentially take a long rest in this dead end. Who wants to take second watch? Because you don't have Arya.
Yeah.
And well, who wants to go second and who wants to go third? Because you'll need 3 to cover the whole.
Yeah.
I can go last unless.
I'll happily go second.
Okay. In that case, the 2 of you make me perception checks. Damn.
Fuck, I've done this, but.
Well, I was going to volunteer because I've got really good perception, but okay.
Well, yeah, I was going to volunteer because I feel like it's my duty to take care of you guys. Not
Okay.
that that's a great thing in this case, but
No, it's a terrible thing.
but at least he's trying.
Okay.
If I'd rolled that, we could have had a 15. No, a 17.
There is the night passes with very little of note. Arya, your intelligence is restored and you become conscious once again.
Oh, thank God.
Oh.
And everyone else can take a long rest.
And that's like, refilling your hit points is getting more and more every time.
Yeah.
You guys took hit point damage?
Oh yeah, I did. I took a lot of hit point damage. That was oof. That was like, was it 3 or 4 crits?
Alright.
It's like 3, I think?
I think it was
Maybe
3,
4. Actually,
yes.
it may have been 4.
At least 3, I know. But
Yeah. Okay. So I say
Also, I did take hit point damage, just Kelariis healed it immediately.
yeah. The next morning, quote unquote, like you aren't really sure what time of day it is currently, but it feels like morning.
We just woke
at
up,
least.
so it's morning. That's how that works.
Yes. Arya, you rouse and sort of you have a vague recollection of everything that happened since, but it's like
Fuzzy.
yeah. Well, you remember what happened, but it's obviously from the perspective of you being not able to process everything properly.
Right.
Yeah, I think
mean-
Kelariis also has like spent sleeping time and also watch time like close to Lyra and Arya.
Okay.
Well,
I
Lyra
think-
has to be outside the bubble.
Well, then next to Arya. Or close
Yeah,
to
Lyra
Arya.
can't fit in the bubble. Sorry, Lyra.
I mean, the point is that I assume Lyra's on the opposite side of the bubble, like as close
Yes.
to Arya as possible.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
You assume
probably.
correctly.
The only reason Arya's in the bubble is slightly safer.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah. Seeing Arya being more okay, Elizabeth's probably going to be like, "Oh, Arya, are you okay? Oh, thank God. Thank the gods."
I'm fine. She's noticeably cold to Elizabeth. Still pretty pissed off.
Yeah, Kaziara sort of like gathers up her things, acknowledges you with a nod, Arya, and says, please don't take this the wrong way, but you are the only person I have ever seen survive that.
Well, then I'll count myself lucky that I did.
Well,
I'm
we-
not sure how you could take that the wrong way.
Yeah. Okay, I was thinking that. I wasn't going to say it, but also we did do a pretty good job of getting that brain off you quickly.
I mean, I think the damage had already been done in that sense, but
Well, we prevented the rest of the damage.
You know, I still have a brain, so I suppose there's that.
Yeah.
That is somewhat what I was insinuating. You were lucky in that sense.
I guess usually the brains get free reign after they incapacitate their victim.
You have seen the end result.
right.
Yeah, it's what happens to, all those people whose heads exploded.
Yes,
Well-
avoiding that would be preferable.
Yeah, it's good to have you back. It's good to have you back, Arya.
Well, should we continue searching for Puck?
Yeah, probably.
I think finding your friend and getting out of here should be high on our priorities.
Now that you've had a rest, I assume you can. Well, yeah, I took your ring. I borrowed your ring for a bit.
You were aware of that, are you?
Yeah, I pretty much remember everything that happened. It was just
Good.
Yeah, speaking of the ring, I should probably put the spell in it, right? Shouldn't I?
So that's what I was getting at.
I will cast sending while touching the ring, therefore
Okay.
putting it in the ring.
You prepare the spell inside the ring and pass the ring to Grim. Grim, what are you saying?
Well, of course, the target is Puck, which is always a good start.
Yeah.
Puck, this is Grim.
He knows it's you. You don't need to say that.
Well, Grim says it anyway.
Oh, hi, it's Jester.
what the fuck?
Basically the same person, definitely. No.
No,
Oh,
definitely not.
terrifying thought, actually.
Well, we're here, trying to find you. Killed the mind brain.
Mind the brain.
Well, what else would you call it?
Illithid brain.
Like, was it 20 words? Right?
25.
You're on
Oh,
14.
25. Yeah, I am 14. Let me know where you are. I think that's exactly 25.
Nice.
Love and kisses, Quagrim Daemaris.
God, the idea of Grim saying love and kisses is a fucking lot, though.
Yeah, that's
I don't like
definitely
that
a
at all.
trip.
The only person who I can see actually saying that is Vondal to any potential kids, which is also very unlikely to happen.
Okay.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay. What is the? There's no range limit on sending, is there? No.
No, but
Okay.
if they're in another plane, it's got a 5% chance of failing.
Okay. Technically, it's the same plane, so. I guess the response comes back with I guess Quagrim, presume you brought Cobweb. Ask her about the spur. I'll stay put.
Okay. So, Cobweb.
Mm-hmm.
The spur.
The spur?
I had to ask you about I had to ask you about the spur. What is it?
She thinks for a moment and says, "Wait, that." So, she like pauses for a moment, thinks, and so says, "So, I presume by that he means that there's a shard of some sort of volcanic rock that Puck holds onto. It means something to him. I don't really know what it is. He's never really talked about it before. But if you were trying to find something, I guess that would be a fairly unique way to find him. I don't know how that helps us, though.
So you said spur is a piece of volcanic rock.
Yes.
Oh boy.
I'm gonna say he could have been more helpful, but I guess that's gonna be it. Oh, by the
Cobweb
way,
just sort of thinks, though, and just sort of says, "Yeah, I don't really know what he was hoping to achieve with that."
What exactly did he say?
well,
Does it have any sort of special anything that it does? I might be able to try something. I'm currently looking at the spell locate object really quickly because I don't remember how it works. But it might be helpful to know more about it if you have anything.
Let me see what Cobweb remembers. She sort of, I guess she sort of like gestures with her hands and indicates like probably maybe 4 inches in length. Like a triangular shaped object, and she sort of says it's essentially a long, thin triangle. It has like it's 2 different layers of rock with like an orange line that runs up the middle of it. I don't really know what significance it has, but I guess it's something that he's always held on to. I don't really know what else you want me to say.
Why couldn't he just tell us?
Well, presumably he doesn't know where he is.
Okay, true.
And to
Yeah,
be
the-
fair, even if he did, that doesn't necessarily mean anything to us in relation to where we are.
Hmm.
That is definitely a problem. But I think it's still easier just to look for an arch. Are we actually? I don't mean this. Well, like he is an actual archfey, right? Cobweb.
As far as I know. What
Well,
else
I
would he
think we
be?
I don't know. Like he might be, or well, a not so much archfey. But well, if we trust him being an archfey, then I guess we're best off just doing the old. I guess you're gonna have to be busy, Kelariis.
Yeah, I can try that. Hold on, I just realized there's no requirement for being able to like cast a spell into the ring, right? It's anybody that can cast a spell. I know
Anyone who's touching it, yeah.
Yeah, you just have to be touching the spell while you cast it.
Tune it. Okay. Cabo, have you seen the I immediately forgot what it's called.
Spur.
The spur before?
Yeah, a couple of times.
I wonder if it might make more sense for you to try locating it. Because you've seen it.
Just looks at you quizzically.
I know a spell that lets me track objects. It doesn't... It works in the same sort of range as when I try to find people, but maybe something more specific might be helpful. If you borrow the ring that Grim was using earlier to cast, or to speak to Puck,
It's worth a
that
shot, I
might be another
guess.
option. Sorry, say that again?
It's worth a shot, I guess.
What do you think? And I just kind of look at everybody else. I can still try to just find Puck, but it might be good to have another option just in case.
Well, I don't see why not. Right?
Yeah, and I have had another idea, which is that technically the spell that I cast on Keziara and Arya when we found out they'd been compromised, I guess is the word, would also in theory shield Cobweb from the locating creature that your baton does. And so therefore
That isn't a
not be
problem
the-
though.
Yeah.
You've already eliminated that as a problem. Because it didn't pick her up previously.
Did it not?
It did
No,
not.
as in like, okay, yeah, it didn't pick her up when they said Archfey, but maybe like, I guess I'm wondering if
It would still
Well-
pick up... Oh, I guess Arya, but if... Oh, the spell would have faded by now on Arya, though, because it's the same issue, because I think Arya would still
Yeah.
count as Fae.
That
okay, true.
out of character. That's the spell failed because the target wasn't in range.
Yeah, that's what I took it to be, and I think that's how Kelariis has interpreted it.
Yeah.
But
But yeah, I mean, yeah, locate object sounds good to me.
I mean, at the very least, there's no harm in trying it.
Exactly.
To my understanding, it has slightly different limitations on where it can find things than when I'm looking for people. But I'm no scholar on those sorts of things, so
So you
Uh,
cast
yeah.
a spell into the ring.
Mhm.
Cobweb like hefts the ring like some sort of giant hula hoop. Just like puts it over her shoulder.
I do think she needs to attune to it first, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I
But-
don't think you need to.
Okay.
Yeah.
So actually, we can check. No, there's no. Oh no, it does require you.
But like we can wait a little bit. Like it's
Well,
Yeah.
that's the weird thing. It says the ring stores spellcaster holding them until the attuned wearer uses them, but then it just says while wearing this ring, you can cast any spell stored in it.
Well, it also says requires attunement. That's the first line.
Okay, yeah, true.
So yeah, you spend the time for her to attune to it. Like she holds onto it, like watch it, like closes her eyes for a moment, and then immediately perks up and just sort of says, "I've got it."
Lead
Yeah.
the way.
Okay. I think for the sake of this, I'm just going to because the spell lasts an hour, right?
I think this one is less. I think it's 10 minutes, but I can give the spell again if I need to. Yeah, it's up to 10 minutes, but I can easily give it again if needed.
Okay. So it'll probably take maybe 3 casts for her to get it.
Okay.
So yeah, you keep feeding the spell to Cobweb, and eventually she leads you through a series of passages, until basically you reach a break in the corridor that leads into another cave system, where there is a large river that flows like down the center. Nowhere near as large as the one you were in previously. This probably is only maybe like 10 feet across and like maybe a little less deep. And placed on top of a large pile of rocks that appears to have been deliberately placed there rather than organically positioned, is this shard like directly on top of the pile of rocks.
Well, that's
So wait, is this like in the river or like next to the river?
On the other side of the river from you currently.
Okay.
that's definitely a oh god, I forgot the word that I wanted to use.
Sure. Okay.
No, I was trying to.
It's definitely effective.
There's a trail marker. I was thinking a trail marker.
Yes.
Yeah,
It looks like it has been
remember the word.
deliberately placed.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a trail marker if I've ever seen one,
Yeah.
or
Well, I
something
guess
of the
we're-
sort at least.
I guess we're following a trail.
Or at the very least, we're
Looks
being
like
given
a-
an indication that we need to cross.
Yes. Well, that also explain why you didn't find them,
Mhm.
which I guess we could have guessed, but regardless.
Well,
let's-
to be fair, I also haven't tried since we've done a bit more walking. It's possible
Yeah.
that even well, regardless, I would have been, I think, out of range before.
that's fair enough. But we need to get across the water.
Mhm.
I guess we can't levitate. No, I guess we can't. We can just levitate Lyra over as. How bad is this water? Is it swimmable?
It's
Within reason?
it's only about 10 feet wide. Lyra can clear it and jump.
Also,
wait.
like, yeah, how
I-
fast is it flowing?
Not very.
No,
Yeah,
let's
there you
just fucking walk or swim across. Or
Also,
jump, I guess.
I could do this, and Elizabeth's just gonna misty step over to the other side.
Yep.
Yeah, but doesn't help us now, does it? I guess it helps.
What
It
if you
is
threw me
helpful.
a rope or something? If you wanted a rope.
Well, I think we'll manage. And hopefully
Actually,
we
could
do.
not the rest of us just like run and jump across?
I think most of you have enough jump distance to do that. Kaziora
Yeah, and
does, definitely. Lyra does as well.
If not, I can take one of. Well, Arya could misty step if she doesn't mind using that, and then I can take Grim if we can't make the jump with a run.
Well, you know, Grim is
Well, you-
surprisingly good
You
at
could
jumping.
throw Grim.
Wow.
Eat Grim across the river.
Hang on.
I can jump further than I can be yeeted. Thank you very much.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you couldn't make the jump, I could take one of us.
Oh yeah, no,
Or
don't worry.
somebody
That wasn't directed at
Yeah,
you.
look, you guys are the athletes. You
Well,
can jump.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
wow.
you
I'm
guys
sure
have
we
more
can
than
still-
10 strength, so you can jump it.
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't-
Yeah, let's just fucking jump
Yeah,
off. Jump
I
off.
can't jump it because I've only got 8 strength.
I didn't realize that it was like equal to your strength score, your jump distance. That is, yeah.
Only if you have a 10-foot run up.
That's
Well, yeah,
wild, though.
That is
That's a
incredibly
really
Yeah.
long jump.
That's a long, yeah. That's like Olympics winning jump.
Well, like Kelariis could make it from a standing jump. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
What are the rules for standing jump? Is
Uh,
It's
half
half
or-
your
half.
strength.
Oh wow, yeah.
So, yeah,
okay.
Kelariis
I
could make it on a
fucking
standing
move
jump.
myself across.
Kelariis doesn't need a fucking run up. She just, from standing start, she beats Olympians in the long jump. And they need a run up.
Y'all
Yeah, but
were talking about Claris's arms, but really she got good legs
Yeah,
too.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say those
Yeah,
fucking
Kelariis
legs.
does not skip leg day.
She
Okay.
really
We
do.
talk about Kelariis's arms, but we should also be talking about them thighs.
Well, you know that's because they're carrying around those arms all day.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. They gotta be beefy to carry around those
Now-
arms.
I got
Now
a
I've
strong
got an
core
image.
too, guys. Don't worry. I got it all.
Wow. Now I've got that mental image of Kelariis doing that thing where she just crushes a watermelon between her legs.
Oh my
Oh, she
god.
could.
Yeah.
Let's be
Yeah,
real.
absolutely. Just
I don't
Anyway,
think
shall
it.
we traverse this
yeah.
river?
Yeah.
Or stream or
let's
whatever
see.
it
she
is.
could probably flex extra hard and do 2 at once.
Just any body part will do. Really.
Waste of good watermelons.
I know. Well, we can eat it after if we're
It
careful.
would be
Yeah.
kind of gross.
Yeah, it would be a
If we're
little
careful. How careful are we gonna be when we're smashing watermelons with our thighs?
I don't know. Look.
Well, you know, I'm
Careful-
sure there
Careful
is.
enough that you're not gonna get, anything on it.
Like, I'm sure if you can sell it to the right person.
Hmm.
Are you guys saying you wouldn't eat that watermelon?
It might be a little hard.
Well,
The only bit that's coming into contact with Kelariis is the outside. The inside, the bit that you eat. is
Anyway.
fine.
I mean, until you squish it.
Well, it's gonna fall on the floor. That's the problem.
Well, that's
But
why
then
you put it
just
on a
put something
table.
Out to.
Yeah, that's
We're
why you have
awful.
that's why you have us crush it onto like a table or a tablecloth.
So she's gonna stand there on a table and crush it because there's no way that she's gonna direct the flow of crushed watermelons from her thighs onto a specific area.
I don't think Claris is the finesse for that. Maybe Arya, if we could get her
Maybe.
some real good strength.
Proper thigh control.
It's strength to smash the watermelon, but dexterity to control the spray.
And there's intelligence to know that
What?
you should never do that. Oh no, a wisdom.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's where the
Yeah.
intelligence part
Yeah.
comes in.
No, it's
Oh,
wisdom, please.
wisdom.
Yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
wisdom.
It
Come
is the
on.
wisdom.
No, Grim. So in that case, Grim's like, oh yeah, fucking all for it.
Intelligence is just Intelligence is just the ability to know whether it's possible. So
Anyway.
Elizabeth's like, yeah, you absolutely could. Kelariis just fucking does it.
This is fine.
You all jump the river.
Oh my god.
Well, I teleport across the river.
Yeah.
We did it.
I cannot jump that far.
Across the river.
And
I
yeah,
can only jump 8 feet.
you are on the other side with this pedestal now.
Can we take the spur?
You want to pick up the spur?
Kind of.
Well,
It's not a great idea.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm-
I mean, if I just put my hand near it, is it really hot?
You hold your hand over it. It is not hot.
yeah, like, well, we should grab
Sure,
it
I can't
because
taste
Yeah.
clearly it has value to Puck. So
But
it's not that big of an effort.
Elizabeth, make me an intelligence roll.
Okay. Wait, hang on a minute.
is it cursed?
No. This has been left here by a Fae. He's fucking Fae gaming us.
Make the intelligence roll.
Oh, come on, I figured it out. Fuck you.
Okay.
Nope,
Wait, that's
didn't
also a
figure it
save,
out.
not even a flat roll.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Well, either way, it's not one.
Yeah. Okay.
Doesn't
So
save me.
you pick up the spur.
God damn it.
Well, I was gonna do it otherwise, so this is fine.
So where are you going now?
Well, now that we've crossed the water, we'll have to look at our her paladin and ask for her Triferian abilities.
You know what? Here I thought that he'd just be nice and be here.
No.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do the thing. I'll
Well,
see if it works. now, because
Cobweb
we're-
chuckles at your response, Elizabeth, and says, "It's Puck. He's being careful."
Yeah. Still.
I mean, honestly, considering the whole reason and factor that he's in here in the first place, I don't blame him.
Yeah. You know what?
I
I feel
will-
like you should take this, Cobweb.
No, I just hope that he hasn't been transformed by the forces of this realm.
Cobweb sort of like cocks her head at you, Elizabeth, and says, "How exactly do you expect me to carry that?
How big is it?
It's as tall as she is.
I'm sorry, what?
It's like 4 inches. She's only like
Oh.
4 inches tall."
Oh yeah. Well, in that case, if I was gonna say, I thought it was just this tiny little rock, but if it's, yeah, okay. In that case, I wouldn't even offer it to her.
Yeah, no, it's 4 inches. It's respectably large. Like you could stab someone with it if you really wanted to.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
Wow.
Maybe hers
Okay.
make a joke.
It's
We're all
respectably large.
Oh, we're all awful.
Respectfully
believe
large. That's what she said. Oh.
Oh, fucking
Just trying to
hell.
make the guy
There's
feel good.
so many regrets right
Don't fuck the stalactite.
now.
Please do not fuck a stalactite.
It's not even a stalactite. It's a piece of
Don't-
like, if it's
don't
volcanic
fuck the
rock,
rock.
what is it? Glass? Is it obsidian?
Please do not put anything like that in your
Oh
vagina.
god, that's awful.
Gwyneth Paltrow.
Like, you know, only stalagmites, no stalactites. It's fine.
No, don't fuck stalagmites either.
Moving
I'm gonna cast a spell.
moving swiftly onwards, you cast the spell.
Which spell?
Yeah, it is a glassy textured rock, by the way, with some sort
Probably
of
obsidian then.
orange line sort of running through it. It appears to be like 2 types of rock, like that have been fused. So yeah, you go ahead and cast locate creature, and it does indeed now point you in a direction, a few scant meters in the direction leading into one of the cave mouths nearby.
Well, that's
I
a
guess
good
I
sign.
just kind of gesture.
Out of character, it was the exact direction that the large shard of rock was pointed in, because it is a triangular-shaped piece of rock, which is what I was trying to get Elizabeth to work out.
Oh.
Well, we're
It was
doing great, guys.
it was a literal arrow.
You're an arrow.
Who looks for arrows when looking for someone? That's
Yeah.
I'm
clearly
done.
that would be
I'm
pointed in the wrong
100%
direction.
done.
Look. Elizabeth may be smart, but I am not.
That's I made you roll an
We're gonna-
intelligence check to try and work
We're
that
gonna
out.
get to talking. He's gonna be like, "Did you get my arrow sign?" And we're gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah, basically.
Oh, we just
Fuck,
followed
I'd be
your
like,
smell.
No, I just picked up
no.
I just picked up the rock, and then we have magic. So.
Okay,
Oh.
so proceeding along in the direction, you arrive within a smaller chamber. Kelariis, you look up into the space above, and then like basically on a ledge, maybe like 5 or so feet up, like legs hanging over the edge, sitting on this like small lip, like leaning back against the wall, is a figure probably close. How tall are you, Grim, exactly?
Ooh, is it? I'll check, but I think it's 3'3".
Okay.
Yeah, 3'3".
Yeah. So, approaching somewhere in the region of 4 feet tall. Is
You shot the Vandal.
yes.
Sorry.
Well, so are almost all of the Seelie Fae.
Well,
Like Titania is weirdly tall for a Seelie Fae at almost 5 feet.
damn.
So
Should've
yeah.
made so tall of a Vandal.
So sitting on this ledge is a 4 foot tall figure, basically dressed in like a loose fitting like grey robe, with just longer than shoulder length blonde hair like rolling down his shoulders that has been sort of pulled back in a loose ponytail, but is still sort of like well, it hasn't been tamed for a while, so it's sort of a little bit everywhere. The moisture in the air is probably not helping. He's sitting on this ledge, like sort of like looking up, looking across to you guys. Grim, you recognise this as Puck, as does Cobweb, who promptly shouts with joy and just sort of like flies towards him. She lands on his shoulder, like pecks him on the cheek, and then just grabs him by the ear and just pulls.
Wow.
He looks like he seems happy to see her until she yanks at his ear, and he's just like, "What was that for?" And then she just goes, "That one is for abandoning me."
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I generally think Elizabeth actually just goes, "Oh."
He sort of holds up a hand, like waves it, like so, and he's just sort of like, "That's debatable. I didn't want to abandon you, but hey, you did what I asked, and now here we are."
Yeah, I believe this is yours. And I'll like hold the spur out to him.
He jumps down from the thing, like steps up and like takes it from you and says, "Yes, that is." Sort of like tucks it into inside pocket in the robe and sort of says, "Little keepsake I've been carrying around for a while."
If you don't mind, this may sound silly, but could you do the trick you did on our two compromised friends, just for safety's sake? If you don't mind, just stay calm, Puck, and you'll be fine.
Me?
Yes, you know what I'm talking about.
Why?
Safety measure just in case.
Just because I don't know if you realize what kind of place we're in, but like, it might take some of your power, but it will probably help us out in the long run.
Okay, if you want me to. And if, again, like, I can't do it if Puck's not going to let me cast a spell on him.
He like Puck like looks at you, Elizabeth, like looks down at Grim, and then is just like, he just says, "You're learning. I don't like that."
What?
I missed the first word. Or...
He says, "You're learning. I don't like that."
Oh. Wow.
I guess I'll
Well.
cast Mind Blank on him.
Okay. Well, he can't do anything to stop you, so.
Well, he can be unwilling to have Mind Blank cast on him because it specifies a willing creature.
Okay, yeah. In that case, I think he holds up his hands to stop you, and it's just like, okay, I want to know what's going on here first.
Okay. In short, you're going to get a mind shield that disconnects you from any third party that might be involved.
Protection from divination magic.
Works for me.
It's like, even if you're even if you're good, you should probably be grateful that for the spell.
It'll also prevent magical charms, but I have a feeling you're already kind of pretty resistant to those.
He nods.
Yeah, and then I'll cast it on him.
Okay. Yeah, you cast Mind Blank on him. Nothing seems to change.
Well, now that this has been settled, Puck, I wasn't quite expecting you to be the troublemaker that you are, or at least not in this way.
He very, very dramatically places a hand over his heart and flutters his eyelashes and says, "Can't believe you'd accuse me of such things."
Well, only because of the consequences.
As much as I, you know,
Do you remember how we first met?
can we not do this now? Can we just get out of here first?
We've got now that we've got everybody here, we've got plenty of time.
Do we?
Yes.
I mean,
Do we have to do it here though?
Don't worry about it.
Kaziora is like arms folded regarding this whole conversation. Like, no, I think I want to watch this.
Okay.
Look, don't worry. It's not like we're not going to get you out, but it's not gonna, you're not gonna get off easy this time. Last time you almost cursed me into I just point at him, but you, I guess.
He's sort of just like shrugs and says, "Well, technically, that wasn't me. That was the horn. I may have arranged for the horn to have been planted there, but as we discussed previously, it wasn't my intention to single you out in particular. It just happened to be inconvenient. But you brought the horn back, and everyone came away a winner."
Yeah, well,
'Cause, I mean,
well,
look,
good thing. I hope that we're all gonna come away as winners from this as well, aren't we?
he says, and says, "Well, I certainly feel like I've made a good investment in some friends here and now, don't you?"
I'm not sure if I agree, but for now, I can't help but get you out of here. Or, well, I guess we can't help but get you out of here.
He does like a big mock pout and says, "Grim, you wound me. After all that I've done for you."
Well, I think Cobweb can back me up on this. Like, right, Cobweb? How, you wouldn't want your friend to just abandon you. Even earned yourself an air yank. Or yoink.
Yoink. Yoink.
Like there's like an exchanged look between the fairy and the Archfey, and it's just like, very well. What do you want?
For now, nothing. But well, I guess the thing that we want is do you have the compass?
He reaches into an inside pocket and produces a fairly large object, probably about like the size of a small plate, like a side plate, not like a dinner plate. That is appears to be like a metal disc of some bluish metal. And as he produces it and holds it in his palm, like there's a small extrusion on the underside that sort of he just holds onto and holds it upright. Almost like an illusory image of your surroundings, rendered in a very basic way, is projected in front of you. And he holds it up and says, "It's been quite useful in evading things down here."
So this can point us to where we want to go, or what was it exactly?
Well, it supposedly takes you wherever your heart desires, and if that happens to be the hell out of here, then I suppose that's where we'll go. At this point, like, Kaziora, who's been like sort of like watching this with a sense of amusement, like, is suddenly very straight and like regards this device with great interest.
Well,
Is she being
what?
subtle about it? I'm guessing.
No.
Perhaps if we could gain occasional access to such devices, then we might be able to help you out more in the future. But till we get out of here, we'll have to see how this thing actually works, I guess. I think we've dealt with the main threats. There might be some stragglers, but well, I say the main threat's been dealt with. The maze itself is still going to be pain.
I assume by the main threat you mean our long tentacled friends.
Yes. Well, at least their superiors have been eliminated. And then I guess just out of curiosity, have you met any of these friends? And I'll point to
Kaziara.
Kaziara. I should really just keep my notes up.
He turns to Kaziara, like takes her in head to toe, and just sort of says, "I've not had the pleasure, my lady."
My lady.
Oh my god. He's like that!
Yep.
He just my lady her.
Elizabeth just probably backs up slowly towards Kaziara and be like.
He conjures an illusory fedora.
No! Fuck!
Yeah, and she'll just whisper in Kaziara's ear be careful.
Oh.
They're tricksy.
Well, yeah, might be tricksy, but I guess having one that owes you a favor isn't all that bad. Hey, Puck.
Well, let's not be too sudden about who owes who.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll know when the time comes. But yeah, so I guess you haven't met any of them before.
I have not.
Well, I guess that's not necessarily a bad or good thing. But I think what we shall do is figure out how this can actually help us out. Because I guess Cobweb did teach us something about this place. Because we aren't actually in another dimension. We just got dragged here by spiders, I guess.
He sort of raises an uncomfortable eyebrow at that and sort of says, "Dragged here by spiders."
I know how it sounds. I don't know how you got here, but that's how we got here.
That's a story that can wait till we get out. For now, what if this supposedly takes you wherever your heart desires? Why did you need us to come get you out?
I think that would be fairly obvious.
He sort of holds up a hand, snaps his fingers, and nothing happens.
Don't you remember what Cobweb told us when she first came to the...
No, yeah, I know. I just thought that, if he had a magical device that shows him the exit, and he's sneaky enough to avoid all of these people for this long, then surely he could have found the exit and left by now, even without magic.
I don't think it's that simple.
He shakes his head and says, "Without magic, there's no portal. Even if I could evade everything here and escape to the surface, I'd have to deal with the threats on the surface, and there'd be nowhere else to go. And plus, navigating the maze to begin with, without magic, is difficult. Sometimes there are obstacles that are a little more difficult. Rivers of magma, other insurmountable things, chasms."
We've met our fair share of those. But yeah. Fortunately, now you have all the magical assistance you could ever need, and I'll just pat Elizabeth on the back.
I wouldn't go that far, Grim.
You're 90% of all the magic we could ever need.
That doesn't mean he's getting access to it.
Why are you suddenly so stubborn about this?
Okay, no, not all. Okay. You know what? I don't actually know.
Well,
Haven't you been the one that... haven't you just been jockeying us to get out of here this entire time?
Yes, I have. Come on, let's get out of here. God's sake.
Puck chuckles to himself and says, "You've had a run-in with Titania, haven't you?"
Don't even get me started.
we may have gotten into more trouble than we should, but I hope we'll manage. I have a plan that if she ever causes trouble, I think we can.
I don't think it's a matter of if.
Well, I may be a little okay. I may not have threatened her in the way that would that would be required for not to bother us ever again.
He leans forward with great interest and just says, "You threatened Titania."
Well, like I said, I didn't threaten her, but like I did mention, I did confront her when she kind of just demanded Elizabeth's, or like she said she wanted Elizabeth, and I was like, what? And I kind of confronted her on that, and she kind of went quiet.
In that case, I'm surprised you had to walk here.
Yeah,
Honestly, that's not the half of it, Puck.
but if it comes to it, I think we have a way to get her true name, and that would be, I think with that we should have enough leverage. And no, I'm not giving it to you, Puck.
There's a greedy twinkle in his eye. He's like, "Oh yeah, go on." First you had my curiosity, now you have my attention.
Well, let's get out of here first, yeah?
And if it's the only, let's do it.
And to clarify what Grim said, you're getting as much magic as it takes to get us out of here, then no more. And that's only because it gets me out of here as well. In fact, all of us out of here. And then, honestly, I think there's a certain someone who might want to use that device you've got to get home.
Kaziora sort of like nods and says, "I certainly wouldn't mind a look at it." At this point, Puck just sort of like folds it up inside the robe and just says, "Oh, really?"
Well, actually, before we bring Puck home, should we bring you home first, Kaziora? Because I can imagine that, if what I've understood is correct, you're closer to this plane than you are to the material realm that we come from.
No, not exactly.
Not? Oh.
No.
Either way, she can't as easily get home as we can.
Well, that's why considering she came in here, I assumed that we would be able to, get her out first through her exit, and then we just leave through ours.
Not exactly. To put things simply, at the moment I think I'm stranded. In fact, no, I know I'm stranded. When things started to go wrong for us in the confrontation with the Illithid the first time, our leader essentially gave the order for our ship to be set adrift.
Okay.
Essentially to prevent the Illithid from using it to escape. That would have been my way out, and now that the rest of my companions are dead and I am by myself, I have no way of returning to the ship, and even if I did, no way of being able to pilot it. It is not a one-man job. Even if it was, I was never trained to do so.
Wow. In that case, I guess we have two options that, are free, but that two of them start the same way. I suggest you come along with us, and we'll try and make your stay accommodate you, and hopefully your stay will be acceptable. The second option, you come with us, we try to find some volunteers for you to go with you on the ship, if that is even possible. And the third option is, you do whatever you please. I guess we might see each other, but who knows?
Right now, my goal is to get out of here. I would appreciate any help with that. But after that, we will see.
Okay. Well, for now, you can tag along.
She offers a short bow.
I'm quite happy to help you with whatever you need, Kaziora. I feel like I am, at the very least, I'm willing to offer you that much.
And, I guess whilst we're at it, we should probably hand you the circlets, or Deadpan.
She holds up
think-
a hand and says, "Keep them for now, just in case.
Okay.
We do not know if anything is left."
Well, if there is, they won't be able to withstand our might. Let's get going. We've been in this messed up place for long enough.
Puck just sort of like rubs his hands together and says, "Well, that suits me just fine. Lead the way."
Yeah, I'm sure it does.
Hey, you're the one with the magic tell us
Oh.
where we're going device.
Whilst we're heading off, I think we did kind of make a promise that you wouldn't return to the courts, in order to, keep us out of trouble. At least not to this court specifically.
He sort of considers that for a moment and so says, "That could be potentially problematic if we're ever going to get my abilities back."
Well, I guess we'll figure that out once we get to that stage. But it's something for you to think about whilst we're heading out.
He exchanges a look with Cobweb. Cobweb just sort of shrugs and he says, "Very well."
Yeah, if you want the details of our disaster, I'm sure Cobweb would be more than happy to tell you.
Okay. Yeah, so Puck holds up the compass and you all begin to make your way, attempting to follow the compass. As you do so, you notice like the illusory display that is shown as Puck holds this thing up, like it shifts and changes with every step. Like you can you see the vault, the wider projection of the vault it shows is shifting and changing constantly, with the exception of the part that you're in at the moment, which lends you a sort of an idea of what is actually happening around you. In the maze seems to change whenever there's something not present within it.
Weird.
Does that mean there's rooms that aren't moving?
Every now and again there are places that remain static, yes. And
That would mean
as it does so, the compass that that Puck is holding, it will occasionally just highlight certain areas in red, at which Puck says, "This is the feature that I found the most useful. It seems to know when things are threatening and when they are not. Quite how it knows, I don't quite fathom."
well, fortunately, I don't think threatening areas are going to be of much concern. Although I will admit that we can bypass this in a somewhat simple fashion, then I would not object. Or do I think the rest would?
Puck nods and just says, "Well, then we'll just keep following the compass. It seems to know its way around."
I think the more she watches this compass, the more Elizabeth wants to be able to have a closer look at it and figure out
Yeah.
exactly what it's doing. Just looking at it with that longing gaze of, I need to know.
Yeah. So, you're watching this with this longing gaze. Kaziora is also regarding it with a great deal of interest. And yeah, I will say if if at any point anybody wants to stop and say anything, feel free, because it'll take you about 2 days to get out.
Whoa.
Nice.
Well, the good news is we massively overpacked on food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd
is
rather be
what I would
overpacked than underpacked.
Mm-hmm.
I guess at some point Elizabeth might, try and have more of a chat with Kaziara.
Okay.
Asking her about home. Because she's curious.
Okay. Yeah, Kaziora is a little reserved talking about it, but you gather that where she's from is, or where she was I guess how she would describe it is that she was born on a ship, along with all of her friends and family, and she spent most of her life living on that ship in between stopping at places to like resupply and getting off and then getting back on again.
Yeah. An obvious question, but Elizabeth probably does say anyway. She's like, I'm guessing these ships aren't, in the water types.
Not exactly. They are ships of the Astral Sea.
How do you even navigate there?
She takes like a longing look at the compass that Puck is holding, and just says, "It takes a number of gith, a great number of years to learn how to read the Astral Sea and navigate it. It is not an easy task, though. According to our history, it was once a lot easier."
Oh.
She like looks at you and sort of lowers her voice a little and just says, "I have seen pictures of a device similar to that compass that your Fey friend holds, drawn by my people a long time ago. It was much larger in scale, but it is possible that these are the same thing." He says it responds to his desires, but I wonder if perhaps that is some low-level psionic capacity.
My head is buzzing right now.
She sort of like looks at you and says, "That could be a side effect."
No, not in a bad way, as in like I'm just having lots of thoughts as to how this,
Ah, I see what you mean. Buzzing as in insects in a hive. Yes, I understand.
Yes, lots of activity, busy bees.
I cannot imagine having a head like that.
Well, nor can I imagine a head where I can tell what everyone around me is thinking.
It's very clean and orderly.
So very unlike me, then. I mean, I'll be honest, you probably shouldn't use my brain as a typical example of people in the world that we're from, anyway.
No, I get the feeling that your party is
Abnormal?
I was going to say extraordinary.
Yeah, that too. Well, I'm probably more weird than them, and that still says a lot.
She opens her mouth as if to say something and says nothing.
Yeah. But going back to an earlier topic, how do you even propel yourself on the Astral Sea? There's there's nothing there.
She pulls one of the karmas from her belt, holds it out in front of her, it levitates into the air, spins a couple of times, and then lowers again. And she says, "I don't know exactly, but I would imagine it's that, but on a grander scale."
That is so cool. But then, of course, that means that your movement's not constrained at all by winds or by even depth of water. Or that is so cool.
She sort of like looks at you and like chuckles slightly and just sort of says, "I think perhaps in this situation, an insight into the insides of your brain would be quite interesting."
You're welcome to ask your own questions. I really don't know what to just say. I mean, I guess you could say that my fascination around these kinds of things comes because of my background. I have always wanted to be more of a scholar. I guess you could call it.
I have never won one for scholarly pursuits.
No, my family weren't either, but hey, persuaded them eventually. Well, with help, of course. In fact, my family are probably a lot more like you in the fact that, and more like my companions here in that they were much more into the, martial pursuits.
She sort of like thinks about that for the moment and sort of says, I did not go into this with the intent of being, well, soldierly. It's more a duty to me.
Well, people get into those pursuits for all sorts of reasons. You know?
I suppose that is true.
Like, my sister has a very different reason for getting into it than my brothers do, for example. And we're related. Kelariis will have a very different reason for getting into it than Grim would, or Arya would.
That is true, I'm sure.
I guess that's one good thing I can say about having your own brain to yourself. It very much encourages quite a lot of diversity and independence. Not that I'm saying that you're not, I may have accidentally insulted you there, but I did not mean to.
Yeah, she does look like you didn't quite get it at all. She just says, just because we share thoughts with one another does not mean that our entire unfiltered consciousnesses are open like a book.
True.
To bear one's deeper thoughts to another is... It is not something that is gone into idly. Even my companions in the Rakma, even though we gave up a degree of individual privacy to better function as a team, we still had our individuality and our privacy. They did not pry into things that was not necessary to the mission.
I guess as well, this is where my abnormal nature kind of comes into play, because most of my thoughts are the surface level thoughts.
I suppose that comes from not having others who are capable of seeing them. You have no reason to be disciplined.
Well, even as far as my siblings go. My brain seems to just sort of have thoughts all the time, and I can never really stop it, nor do I have any control over what those thoughts are for large portions of the time. They just happen. And sometimes they come out of my mouth.
That sounds nauseating.
It can be. But sometimes it gets you out of clutch situations.
And sometimes it gets you into more shit.
I didn't ask you. But yeah, I guess it does do that as well. It's equal parts helpful and unhelpful. Sometimes the thoughts are very much related to the things that I want to be doing, and I can sit there for hours longer than anybody else could doing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes, not so much.
I think perhaps then it is a good thing that you wear that ring.
Yeah. Well, I kind of got this ring specifically because the very idea of magic that can not so much just read my thoughts, but delve deeper, kind of made me very uncomfortable when I learned of it.
You are wise to shield yourself in such a way. I mean, you have met the Illithid, you have seen what they are capable of.
Yeah. It didn't help me in one particular situation, but there was a variety of other factors there. My own carelessness probably being one of them.
It is sometimes said that the carelessness of my species is what caused us to be off guard when the Illithid came. I do not know how much of that is true, because we have lost most of our heritage before they enslaved us, but when I think of what our species is capable of, it makes sense to me that the Illithid would wish to exploit that.
And have it for their own. Well,
regardless, since then my species has learned to command our minds in a more shielded way. We learned discipline.
I suppose then there's more similarities than I may have initially thought.
Perhaps. Okay. I think we'll end on that one. Does anyone else have a scene that they want to do whilst you're travelling?
Maybe not a scene, but I'd definitely give Puck a hard time.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't know if all of it is scene-worthy, but Elizabeth is probably still asking questions, more related now to just history and scholarly, like just interest of knowing. Like, you know, when you're just like, what's life like, society, history, blah 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 blah, all of that.
So
she's just curious.
Kaziora doesn't have a lot to say on the matter, and it's very often difficult to tell whether she doesn't want to say or whether she doesn't know.
I mean, if she doesn't want, either way, Elizabeth's not gonna pry. Like, if she asks a question, doesn't get a response, she just shrugs and asks something else. Like, she's trying to be respectful.
Yeah, Grim, you spend your time giving Puck a hard time, and Puck just effortlessly, in an irritating cheerfulness, just banters all the way back.
Fair enough.
It's definitely the Puck that you remember meeting.
Laddie bants.
Look, it's not that, like, Grim does not have the social complexity required to shame someone such as Puck.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can't shame a shameless man.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically just Grim.
Yep.
That's just Grim talking to a fucking mirror, basically.
Yeah.
God, it makes so much sense that they get along now.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, you're right.
Yep.
I just enjoy that you think they get along well. Like, it's not that they don't get along at all, but you know.
But like the fact that he's basically accepted you as wait, I don't actually know the he's your patron essentially, but like in a weird way. Like, you get along well enough. Patron maybe isn't the right word, but like you get along well enough that he's willing to help you.
They have a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Yeah.
That's better relationships than Grim has with a lot of people he talks to very, very briefly.
Yeah, but you know, most people I don't care about having a good relationship with.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean that's Grim. That's sure is Grim in a nutshell.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's not the relationship that's the focus of my conversation. I'm talking to you because I need to get something done.
That's Grim in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Okay. So eventually, after a long while of traveling, it takes you about 2 days to reach the surface again. The compass leads you essentially up to a set of stairs that leads up into a chamber that you recollect, although things have changed and shifted a little. And you find yourselves in the underground at the base of the tower.
Oh, that means the outside's right there.
Maybe.
I think we're going to use the other outside that we came from initially.
Well, I guess because we know there's a portal there.
Well, hopefully.
Well, there
portal
wasn't a portal when you came through.
Well, oh yeah, that's a good point. There wasn't.
But like,
We just sort of walked through a sparkly and we were here, and then behind us there was nothing.
It's more a case of if we go up, we know we end up, outside. If we go out here, we might end up in some weird pseudo tower compartment or whatever. Who knows?
I guess that's true. Or maybe it's just one of those. Maybe it's just the bottom of a giant chasm.
That's also possible. Also, we might need to kill more. What are they called? Starspawn. Starspawn.
All those weird giants.
Oh, I'm pretty sure we're gonna encounter more of those. Yeah. Maybe not many, but
yeah. I will say during the 2 days that you travelled, through the compass's help, you avoided your fair share of critters that you saw: Fomorians, more elementals, more Sahorgin. But yeah, they seemed less interested in you when they're not enslaved to the mind of the Illithid, and the compass allows you to evade them fairly efficiently. But yeah, you make your way up to the surface. You eventually end up outside of the tower. At which point, you step outside for the first time, and Puck just, fills his lungs with air and says, tainted, but it's better than the air down there, that's for sure.
It's definitely it's definitely more pleasing on the eyes. As weird as this place is, it's really pretty.
Well, we're definitely not out yet. Don't happen to be able to see the portal across the lake.
No, you see no signs of any portal. But Puck does hold up the compass and says, well, if the last person to use this was correct when they told me about it, then this thing has a knack for being able to open gates with a little bit of help. And he turns to you, Elizabeth, and says, I may need you for this, seeing as I'm... and he sort of wiggles his fingers and then just makes a noise.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who did you get it from?
He just sort of smiles and says, I acquired it on one of my travels from a rather peculiar dragonborn.
I can't tell how Kelariis just took that statement.
I mean, in my room, sitting here where nobody can see me, did the whole, head tilt thing. Just absolute confusion and curiosity.
Yeah.
Tell me more about this dragonborn that I can't ask about.
Yeah, so Puck holds up the compass and says, I think before we do this, though, we should probably talk about what's going to happen on the other side.
Well, is it going to bring us somewhere unexpected?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Oh dear.
Well, as long as it doesn't... Well, I guess if it pops us out in any of the courts, I'll figure out a way to get us out, I hope. But if it brings us to where we came in, then I don't think anybody would notice.
Well, if we're outside of the actual prison-y vault part, could just normal teleportation magic work? Or is this whole place kind of weirdy wacky about it?
Puck puts the compass down for a moment and just says, "From what I understand, we are currently standing in what is known as the elemental chaos." I don't know if any of you know what that actually means, but from a layman's,
though I wasn't looking for
the layman's terms, we're basically in. There's a lot of energy in the universe, and this is the point where all of the excess energy just sort of bubbles over and gathers at the bottom. Like if you just let a pot sit on the stove for too long and it sort of gathers on the edges. We're in that part.
Which means it should be easier to open a portal?
Yes, but there's also less chance that opening the portal puts you in the right place. Which is why we've got to make sure we do it properly.
Okay.
Well, considering if we end up in the wrong place, then we can just jump planes afterwards, right?
Yes, the problem is that problem therein lies within making sure all of your body parts end up in the right place in the right order.
Oh.
Lovely.
If we have to worry about our own individual body parts, I imagine that doesn't even speak volumes of getting all of us in the same place.
Yes. Which is why that I'm quietly confident that the compass will do all the work for us. But like I said, before we get to that part, what are we doing on the other side? Because I don't know about you all, but I'm getting rather fed up of being, well, boring.
Okay, I call you a lot
boring.
of things. Boring is not one of them.
He again does the wiggly fingers thing before giving a thumbs down and just sort of says, the whole no magic thing. I'm not used to being this... He just looks at Grim and says, I don't know how you cope.
Okay, well, how do you get your magic back?
See, therein lies the question. Because, as much as I'm loath to admit it, Titania played me.
In what way?
I wish I knew. She must have some form of loophole or cunning trick in something that I agreed to that did this.
See. Oh, and you're clearly not going to head there yourself to fix it.
I generally think that would be a bad idea, yes.
Yeah.
So...
To be fair, though, I'm also not too happy on the idea of us going back there.
like I'd fine with it, but I do agree that we shouldn't go in full force, so to speak.
I mean, considering how she wants one of us and has another one, that's probably not a good idea.
Well, that's why I'm saying not going full. Well, we're not going to bring the person that she wants, looking at you, and the person that she may have slightly more power over than the others.
Puck raises an eyebrow at both of these things, as if to say, go on.
Well, okay, so the short story is, she has one of her names, and she wants one of the others.
He, rubs his chin and sort of says, I was hoping Rihanna would be able to brief you before this all happened.
Oh, she did.
like, you don't get to speak about, like, you don't get to be smug about anything.
Look, Cobweb gave me a compliment. Gave me a compliment on a thing. I can be smug all I like.
That's not how that works.
No.
Regardless, what's done is done in that sense.
But yeah, so, well, and that is why I mentioned, like, I don't want to pull, well, like, I've basically only got the nuclear, well, yeah, the extreme option, which would require a deal of sacrifice on my part. So as you might imagine, I'm not quite keen on that part, on that route, I should say.
Puck nods. Well, let me tell you what I know. So as you can probably tell by the fact that I'm here and you've travelled all this way to rescue me, I've got into Titania's bad books recently. I learned something that I shouldn't have. Something that probably is information that should be locked away in, for want of a better word, a vault somewhere.
I see.
And for obtaining this information, Titania decided that not only was she going to stick me in a dark hole somewhere, that she was also prepared to ensure that I would never make it out. Fortunately, I happen to be better at making insurance plans than she is. But whatever it is, she's certainly got me on the ropes. From my knowledge, there are two ways that we can get rid of this. Either she pardons me, or we find a way to undo whatever it is I did to put myself in this situation.
And we probably wouldn't know without being told what it is that you did, would we? Considering you can't recall yourself what was the...
It could be any number of things. I mean, not to blow my own horn, but we are rather good at being creative with the way we make deals here. Though there is... If Titania was able to do this to a degree so intense that I am completely stripped of my powers, it means most likely she had help. And secondly, she will have recorded it somewhere.
Oh, are you telling me that fake hordes have an archive that we need to break into?
Not precisely an archive. Any well-meaning Fae keeps a record of their own contracts, but it certainly wouldn't be kept in an area where it would be accessible to everyone else.
I mean, we need to go and read Titania's diary.
For want of a better term, yes.
Alright.
Well, I could try and seduce her. We did kick it off at first, but it would give me access to her bedroom, maybe.
I really don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
That being said, we do kind of have another inn.
Yeah.
Don't you dare look at me.
Not you.
Oh, okay. It's Luka, or the Arya.
Arya and Oberon, right? It was Oberon, right? I'm not
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, as much as I think Oberon is a good guy, I don't know how much we want to be, forcing him into awkward positions. But if that will be for Arya to judge.
Puck's eyes are flicking rapidly between the rest of you and Arya, and just like very, very curious as to what's going on here.
Yeah,
you're not
you
getting.
up on.
No, we do not have to catch you up on everything. This might be one of those things. But yes.
I don't know how willing he'd be to help us with that specifically.
Maybe a last-ditch plan.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, he's already done us one pretty major sort of, I mean, I guess you could call it a favour for want of a better word, but, against his wife, but I don't think he'll do as many more.
Well, okay,
But depends what you have to offer him.
So far, nothing.
Yeah.
There is... no. I only see terrible... Well... unlikely options would be better. I could go in there and try and strong arm her, but I don't really want to.
That also seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Well, it would be a bluff that isn't necessarily untrue. However, I don't really want to commit to the bluff I'd be making unless necessary.
Also, it seems like a bad idea to walk straight into her realm and just say, hey, do this thing for us.
Well, we wouldn't be saying it out in the open. We'd be, perhaps another dance or whatever it would take. She might not be too pleased by it, but perhaps it could be, forced might not be might not quite be the right word, but definitely. I think we could make it happen, and then that would give us some one-on-one time. Although I am kind of wondering why we even bother giving your powers back, but I guess we will.
Pug just sort of puts his hands on his hips and just sort of says, well, if you don't help me get my powers back, then I don't really know what you're going to expect in return.
Well, you live long and happily ever after. But no. I doubt that's going to happen either. That said, there is a lot going on, and you having your powers might come in handy, and we might need some more of your help in the future. For both your and our sake. But we'll get to that once we get to that. Okay, so I'm just going to list all the ideas so far. We've got Oberon, that might be an in. We've got the, Grim trying to intimidate or seduce, which are both, unlikely. We've got break in, find her diary, if that even exists. Somehow get invited just to our room in general. Also unlikely. Doubly so because you need to find the diary there.
Or I could sneak in.
Well, that was
that
covered
comes
by
under the previous idea of the break in and find it.
But if you think, I think if anybody has a chance, it might be you. But that
You would have
said,
to do it as well. She's probably written it in Sylvan.
there is one thing that we have been kind of ignoring. What was it that got you in so much trouble? You told us it was a secret that or something you discovered.
He nods.
Would you be willing to share that with us so we can save perhaps regain your magical capabilities?
He grinds his teeth in a... The first time you've seen him look frustrated since you rescued him. And he just says... The thing is, I'm not sure whether this information will... Well, it'll definitely get you what you want, but... Knowing it might put a target on your back, in the same way that it put one on mine.
I think the big difference is, like, when we're gone, we're not going to be interfering with her business for, well, probably till you need us again. And even then, I sincerely hope you've learned to mess with other people by that time. Yeah, like, I think the big difference is you had you had enough. She had enough. Well, limited things to gain by leaving or letting you go. By letting us go, we've proven capable of escaping her more elaborate punishment, as I would consider it. On top of that, we have more leverage, but I will admit that threatening someone like Titania might not, might come back to bite us in the end. So I have an idea, and you're not gonna like it. You know how you Fae are all hung up in contracts and all that?
I do.
What if I said, what if we set up a contract that if, like you got your powers back, and then you might technically fall under our service forever? Not that we would, like, call on you, but, it would just be a technicality.
Why would that help us?
It might, is because imagine that from Titania's perspective, instead of having your opponent, I shall call it, locked up, having them, serve as what on paper is a slave, might make her happy. In practice, that will not be the case. But I also realize that due to the binding nature of such contracts, someone like you, Puck, the person that would actually be, the person condemned, as I would call it, in this contract, might not be as pleased with such a deal.
Puck seems to have stopped listening to you at a certain point and is deep in thought.
Well, either you've really offended him and he's never listening to you again, or you've just given him an idea. One of the two.
Yeah, I've either inspired him with Archfey slave, or that sounds horrible. But hey.
I still think I should just sneak in and get it.
Well, the thing is, we don't know if it exists, do we? Well, we know it's going to be held, if it's true, it might be written down somewhere, but it might...
Yeah, heists like that are usually a bit more than just sneak in, grab it, get out. You kind of have to know a lot of things that we don't know.
Well, not necessarily, but also I do wonder if it's actually a physical thing that we could find in that sense.
Oh, it'll definitely be physical.
Yeah, but what if she just has a parrot that is very good at remembering?
That would be...
Wouldn't be the same.
Yeah.
Something this powerful would need to be a written agreement. Something I know I haven't done for a long time. So this This is something she planned for. And she did it very well. Again, not as well as I prepare for things, but I'll concede the point on this one.
Well,
You know, you can take blows to your ego without it cracking, right?
that's well. So, what if we went in under the guise of, well, considering there is some kind of contract that like forced you to lose your powers, what if we went in under the guise of, well, considering we're taking him along, we need to make sure we know what the contract is, because we wouldn't want to be, we don't want to be like breaking the contract. But if we don't know what it is, then we can't possibly be held responsible for breaking it.
I like that idea, but she will never take that. I do have one idea that just might be stupid enough to work.
I'll take one of your ideas over Grimm's.
I think I'll hear what it is before we agree.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
I'm
obviously.
with Arya on that, but
I like, even I agree on that.
So,
You know,
for the record, I am 100% opposed to the idea of me committing to do anything for you before I get my powers back. But Titania doesn't have to know that. And, as you say, we are so fond of writing contracts with loopholes in them. I think I could create a believable pledge that contains a large but very well concealed loophole. That would mean, technically, I owe you nothing and you owe me nothing.
Well, but you do owe us a little bit, but I guess we'll do that after. Well,
He like so-sos with his hands and just sort of says, we can debate that after the effect. All Titania
now?
needs to know is to think that we are momentarily less of a direct threat.
well,
so what exactly would we do with this contract that you would write?
Show it to Titania, get her to trust you. If not permanently, then at least long enough to lay your hands on whatever original contract she's keeping me bound with.
yeah. Well, once we leave, we can just. I guess you can take all the time you want to write it, because you still have enough magic to, zip us over to the.
The keep?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can probably get ourselves back as well. So I think we should be good in that case. Although, if you think that this won't take that long, then I guess that might not be necessary. But it would allow us to get some supplies to make it look more official.
Alternatively, while he's, formulating the perfect contract, we could try and work out how to get Kaziara home.
Well, I guess that the only person that has any clue as to how to do that would be Kaziara herself, because non-waterbound ships are not exactly any of our specialty.
Kaziara just sort of shrugs, but at this point, Puck just sort of chimes in and says, I think we may be able to skip all of the prep work with a little help from Cobweb. And Cobweb just, she's been hovering like sort of next to Puck this whole time. Just sort of like hovers down to his shoulder and just like leans in as like, what exactly do you have in mind? And at that point, we'll take a break.